Welcome into the Backcourt Podcast here on July 25th. Middle of baseball season. The All-Star break just wrapped up. We're back to the second half of the year. We've also got some basketball news, and the Hall of Fame class was inducted yesterday in Cooperstown. So I'm going to start with that. I was fortunate enough to go to Cooperstown yesterday with my father, and we went and watched David Ortiz get inducted. Obviously, Obviously, a very special moment for us. David Ortiz is my favorite athlete of all time, any sport. I grew up in Vermont, so Boston was the closest team. We'd root for the Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots, and all those teams. So David Ortiz was very inspiring to me. All the clutch hits he had, huge home runs in the playoffs, and overall just a great human being. He had the speech after the Boston Marathon, which really brought the city and baseball, also the whole United States together after a really tragic incident. So David Ortiz, watching him, probably some of my favorite moments. I would say obviously the 9/11, or not 9/11, but the Boston bombing speech was probably my favorite non-baseball moment. And it's one of the best speeches, although just a few words, I've ever heard. And some of the best baseball moments was definitely 2013. I was about 11 at the time, really started to watch sports pretty consistently. And David Ortiz against the Tigers and against the Cardinals was just unreal. And he had that grand slam into the bullpen with Torrey Hunter diving into the bullpen and the security guard jumping up and down with his hands up. Just a really special moment. And obviously Ortiz, let's just look at some of his stats. Obviously great statistically, as well as playoffs and really everything. So he had 3 World Series, 2004, 2007, 2013. And he won the World Series MVP in 2013. He's a 7-time Silver Slugger. He hit over 500 home runs, almost hit 2,500 hits, was just short of that with 2,472, and 1,768 RBIs. Really just some great stats from Ortiz. And the thing about him is he was a great regular season player, but he elevated his stats in the playoffs. And, I mean, there's not a lot for me to say. Like, I don't have any bad words to say about Ortiz. All really positive stuff. And we can honestly use him back right now after the Red Sox lost the other day. 28-5, I believe, against the Blue Jays. So I could really use someone to help us out. Probably more pitching than hitting, but it's been a struggle the last few series. So that's about all there. Mostly on this podcast, we're going to discuss the Nets and Celtics talking a possible KD Jaylen Brown trade. It was just released by, I believe, Shams and many other people and media outlets that Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a pick were offered for KD, and the Nets rejected this, asking for Marcus Smart, more picks, and an additional player in the deal. My first reaction was I was very disappointed because I think Jaylen Brown's a huge part of this team, and while he is not as good of a player as Kevin Durant right now, I think in the future he's going to keep getting better. He's only 24, 25, so he's going to be around the league being an all-star type player for, I would say, the next decade here. And KD's already 34. I think if you get KD right now, it is better in the short term, but long term, I would rather we keep Jaylen Brown and be slightly worse this year and have a better chance in future seasons. And this year, with Malcolm Brogdon, that addition, I still think we're the best team going into next year. So, I mean, I think we should keep everything intact. And Marcus Smart, obviously my favorite player in the NBA right now, and really underrated guy who is obviously, sorry, I keep saying obviously. I don't think I usually say that as much, but it is obvious that Marcus is a great defensive player, one of the best in the game, and he's really taken many strides in terms of playmaking and scoring on the offensive end. So I'm hoping we don't do that, but obviously, if a week from now we hear that the trade goes through and we have Kevin Durant on the team, maybe I'll change my mind. Or once I see him putting up 35 a game type thing, putting up 40 points in some of the games this year, maybe I'll have a change in heart. But right now, I'm kind of hoping we don't go that way. And yeah, I don't have a lot to say today because it's just kind of baseball going on right now, which baseball is all right, but it can get a bit boring after a while. And just some NBA offseason stuff. Here, I just remembered something. So with KD, obviously KD's like a top 15 player all time, one of the best players still today in the game. But there is the thing, I don't totally buy it, but I do a little bit. With the Nets, it didn't work out for him. He only won one playoff series. With the Warriors, obviously, it was the greatest team of all time in 2017, and he won the title. Being with Curry, Clay, Draymond, Iggy, that team is just stacked. But with OKC, he never won a title either. So, when I think about it, do I think we have a better chance with KD than Jaylen, at least for this season? Yes, I do, but a little part of me, a very small percentage, is like, I don't know. I mean, KD has struggled to really get over the hump and win a championship, except for that team with the Warriors, which is one of the greatest rosters ever assembled. So that's one other thing I would keep in the back of my mind a little bit. And obviously, there's injury history with KD. With the Achilles, he had I think it was a knee thing a while back, which everyone gets hurt, but I'll be a little nervous with his injuries and him getting older. But we will see what happens. And who knows? I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be on the move. I think him to the Knicks is a very strong possibility. And I would really look forward to a roster with him. I think we would see him, RJ, and Brunson together. I think Randall will be part of the deal and some young players and picks. But, yeah, I can't wait till the NBA season to restart. I know it's months away. But player movement, I'm hoping there's a little bit more because free agency was a little bit boring, in my opinion. There wasn't any big movers or big trades except for really the Rudy Gobert trade, and there was Brogdon movement. There was Brunson to the Knicks, which everyone kind of suspected already. And, yep, I think that's going to be it for the pod. A very short podcast today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great day.